How has religion lost its spirit? In my research recently, I was surprised to come to the conclusion that religion had lost its spirit. So how has religion lost its spirit? I'm Mark Roach. I'm here to help. I'm just trying to provide a perspective that I've developed over the last 10 years in particular. 10 years of living almost like a monk as I've pursued art, acting, writing, and to get to the bottom of some childhood traumas that interrupted my life. So, one of the strong components of my life has been religion, the Bible, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. And I'm trying to unpack that for myself, and I'm sharing what I'm coming across with you. So I came across, actually I think it was another neuroscientist that was talking about the concept of religion and all the data. Now this guy runs a big department at Stanford and has also talked about how important it is to get clear on childhood and all of emotional issues and biases and preferences that may have been implanted in you in your environment, to get clear about where things came from. And it's neither I nor he have any choice in the matter for you as to which of those you honor or don't. But I think more importantly, I agree with him about the more you are aware of the origins of your opinions, of your behavior, of your actions in life, then the more free you are to make further choices in your life rather than letting some, behind the scenes subconscious pattern drive your life. So he had come to the conclusion, or several conclusions that I'll share with you here, that really shocked me, and I found a hard time arguing against them. But I think sometimes, I have viewed religion as something that was brought here or was practiced to try to elevate humanity or elevate mankind. And that may or may not even be the real issue there. That may be my own bias, thinking or having expectations that religion could do that. So that aside, and that said or confessed, let me share what I picked up from this neuroscience dive. And he basically said the concept of religion and its relation to societal structure and individual behavior, he came up with some key components regarding the number of religions that have evolved in the course of the history of mankind. The diversity of religions, he mentioned that there's over 1 million different narratives regarding who is right in religious beliefs. And that indicated to him an immense diversity in religious thought and practice. I can't argue with that. The idea of subjectivity of truth came up. The existence of so many different religions implies that no single religion can claim absolute truth, as each has its own interpretation and narrative. Well, if like, let's say you believe that the Bible, for example, which was channeled, through a number of biblical writers several years, well, the New Testament, I think it began being written and recorded around 70 years after Jesus died. And these different documents that were communicated orally and collected around the world were, collected and organized into what many of us, see today as the Bible. Whether it's, when I was growing up, the King James Version was the most prominent. And I think there's an NIV, New International Version, as well as several hundred versions I'm seeing that are in use today, just in Christianity or in Protestant churches here in the United States. So, and I have been part of groups that have claimed, where the group would really look everywhere at everyone else and claim they're all wrong, they're sinning, they're doing wrong, they're evil, and we're doing right. And then I've also observed within the group strong arguments as to who was right and who was wrong based on like academic interpretations of the Bible. And I have to tell you, I've run into a lot of people that have been so alienated by that process of seeing the disharmony even within a particular niche of religion, that they've just thrown their hands up and said, I can't do that. And then there's others that try to find a place where they can feel peace and harmony when they get together with a group, and they are not necessarily looking for a place that is legalistic in terms of helping them determine who the politicians are that they need to follow, or which celebrities or which books they need to read, but more about people that are just coming together for community and because they recognize that they need each other and that they need community. And there were some values maybe in the Bible that support those common values that they share outside of the legalism and the sense that someone has got to be right and someone has to be wrong. So this neuroscientist, really came to the conclusion that none of them are right because there's all this division. And I think he was believing that if they did have a narrative that seemed to be working for everyone, that there would be a common theme in the results. So he did say that there was the common theme was, despite the diversity, there are fundamental ideas shared across most religions, such as the importance of compassion and ethical behavior, which are seen as essential for societal survival. So I thought that was a powerful, piece of information to recognize that perhaps the religions do have some great benefit to our social connections and in providing some ethics and some common values, and working toward causes that are bringing compassion into the group that are coming together. And then, as far as cultural constructs, religions serve to create a moral and ethical framework for societies, often acting as a mechanism to control behavior and ensure cohesion. So this is another narrative that I've run into several times recently, where people basically, whether it's the Bible or the Quran or whatever the world religion, they believe that religion has basically been used to manipulate man and provide a narrative that makes a hierarchy and control, and basically leaves man, maybe 99% of human beings wandering around without a clear picture of how things work, and leaving themselves open for abuse and manipulation, and living their lives based on false narratives. So the critique of these religious narratives, this neuroscientist concluded that it suggests an omniscient being that cares for individuals, emphasizing that the universe really does not possess any inherent concern for us. So I think the natural view, and I felt this as a kid, was that, nature or God, I seem to have those two kind of laid over each other when I was a kid. And I picked up that a lot of people around me really did believe that there was like this white-headed man up in the sky somewhere that had us moving around like puppets and was making a record of everything that we did. And there were right things and wrong things, and that was kind of the code of your conscience was building up over life, and eventually it would spill. And then there was this idea of when you die, you're going to go to heaven or you're going to go to hell. And as we've lived longer, I've noticed that people are not so concerned about going to heaven or hell, because it's more like we have a lot of time between, assuming we're not in some trauma or tragedy, between now and the time that we die. But there was more concern about how we live in the present, in the now. And, you see, football players, thanking God for winning games and for giving them abilities to win or be the greatest of all time. And, who am I to say, or I'm not trying to critique that, I'm just pointing that out as the narrative around religion and of the construct as to how things work and our own autonomy in the workings on Earth. Neuroscientists are getting more and more information and bringing a perspective that I think is quite valid for us to examine what's working and what's not working within the confines of our interactions in the physical and material plane, that they're connected to how we choose to focus and what we choose to focus on, that involve our spirit, our deeper motives, our awareness of ourselves, the conscious versus the subconscious, that come up from the past, as well as our dreams and wishes for the future. So that's a lot said, but religion seems to touch on all of that. And right now, being a political season, politics seem to have a powerful connection to some of these concepts and to the reality that we live in. So I hope this is enlightening or provocative to open up a discussion for you. But overall, the discussion that I found from the neuroscience research reflects on how religions have evolved as a collective human constructs, and they address morality, ethics, and community. But this also highlighted the subjective nature of the truths due to a vast number of differing beliefs. I'm Mark Roach. All the best.